I had the unfortunate opportunity to watch my dad die. He had pancreatic cancer, big battle with that for a long time, um,
When was that?
it was about, oh gosh, it was uh, almost 3 years ago now. It'll be 3 years in August.
That's intense.
Which is kind of crazy to say. I didn't even realize it was that long.
Mhm.
Feels like, it feels like yesterday, but
Mhm.
it does feel like he's still a presence in my life and
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So, but coming back to it,
And you were there. Yeah.
I got to hold his hand
Wow.
until he took his last breath, and I didn't leave his side, and I got to have final moments with my dad alone and things like that. And it was just, we didn't say much. You don't know what to say in those
Mhm.
situations, but there's just sort of this understanding. Um,
I mean, it feels like one of that experience must be like, it's like birth,
yeah,
like one of the like core experiences
yeah,
ever. I mean, obviously.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the most psychedelic experience that
Mhm.
I've had, because it was all happening right in front of me, and you almost couldn't believe it was happening because this person has been so stalwart in your life for so long, and it just kind of, it's not hard to talk about, but it's hard to explain,
I'm
what you
sure.
kind of like experience in those moments. And
Mhm.
I like when all that happened, my mom had a hard time leaving his body.
Mhm.
But for me, it was like as soon as that happened, it was like that he's no longer there.
Right.
You know what I
Like,
mean?
I'm not gonna hold the hand long, or
Yeah,
like
I
what?
didn't, and some people do feel that need or sensation to do that. I didn't,
Like, he's no longer here
because
in the
it
room.
wasn't, holding the hand was not for me.
Mhm.
It was to help like guide him out of this world,
Mhm.
and like do so in a um sort of respectful and um respectful
With
way,
comfort.
and in comforting way, like holding
Mhm.
your son's hand and things like that.
Mhm.
Who knows? Maybe it was for me. Maybe it's a way to make me feel better about the situation. And he, I think
Mhm.
he like appreciated it. Um, but all that to say, it's like there is this like shocking difference between someone breathing and being alive, and then all of a sudden like, and it was, what was crazy is, this speaks to um his own like will to survive. But he, like, the doctors basically were like, okay, we're gonna take him off the drugs, the neurotransmitters, the norepinephrine that they were giving him to kind of keep him alive.
Mm.
We're gonna reduce that, and he'll probably die within 30 minutes. What was like 4 hours, where he was just holding on. Um,
Wow.
and it was crazy to see because you saw his heart rate and blood pressure start to come down, and then he would take a breath. He would take, you know, 12 to 20 breaths a minute, and then it became like 10 breaths a minute, and
Oh
then
my
became like 8
goodness.
breaths a minute, and down to like 2 breaths a minute, and like 1 breath a minute, and then nothing. And so that sort of like stepwise for like progression, um, was very profound to sort of witness and be a part of.
I
But
mean,
uh,
as tragic as it is, it sounds. I mean, it's beautiful in a way. Like,
yeah,
that long of a time, and how the breathing changed, and I mean, he held on for, he said, 4 hours.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's amazing
yeah.
in a
So
way.
anyway, that took a turn that I didn't expect to
No,
go
I'm
into, but
thank
I
you
think
for
it
being.
was,
I mean,
yeah,
it's something I've never seen, and I'm sure the room changes.
hmm,
As soon as, like, he's gone. Um, I'm sure. I mean, I know many people have experienced that.
yeah,
So thank you for sharing.
yeah. Of course.
I think
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
I'm sure people would benefit from hearing that.
Yeah, and
You
I
know,
maybe I'm talking about it in like sort of a matter of fact way. Um,
I don't think so.
but like it was an extremely profound experience that,
Hmm.
the realization I had is that like every single person will go through this in some capacity,
That's the most wild thing.
and that doesn't make it less special or like impactful for you, but it does provide a certain level of comfort where it's like, having gone through that, I know I can potentially help other people navigate those emotions and that process.
Yeah, it's an intense. I mean, we all think about mortality, and
Yeah.
people handle it differently, and uh, it is the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah.
You know, everyone goes through it, and I guess
Yeah.
that can be a comfort to some. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
One, you know, one one sort of thought I had was, and it wasn't, it may come off as like a dark thought or like a sad thought, but it was really like almost it was just a real thought of the fact that you are alone. It like at the end, even though I was holding his hand, even though he was surrounded by his family, which is as ideal as you can get, he was still the one having to experience that level of pain and discomfort, and slowly like knowing what was happening. And he's very he we were in the same field, like he understands all the physiology. He knew exactly what was happening when the doctor said like, oh, we're gonna take him off this. He knew what was all, he wasn't able to really like speak all
but he
that
was
much at that
conscious
point.
enough that he
He knew what
understood.
was going on. And it just made me
That's
realize that like no
crazy.
matter how much support you have around you, no matter like the people that you have in your life around you that can share that experience with you, like in the final moments, you are experiencing that in like on your own.
Hmm.
And I just wanted to like in a way like be like try to get into his brain in those last moments, because
You
it's
can't
like,
follow in that time.
yeah, there's just no, you just can't relate. Um,
Hmm.
and it just,
It's his experience in that moment.
yeah. And again, it seems like a sad thought, like we're alone in this world, but it's just a reality that like, I think the sooner that you swallow that reality,
Hmm.
the more it kind of frees you up to live the life that you want to
For
live
sure.
without like fearing judgment or fearing,
Hmm.
um, you know, oh, I'm not going to look good in this person's eyes or that. And,
It makes things
um,
seem a little less important. Some of the
yeah,
superficial things.
yeah. And I think one of the most important things in life is the relationships you develop. But again, even in those final moments, like those relationships are extremely important, and but you're rolling through this universe, on this tiny speck around a less than average sun, in the middle of the universe. Like you're alone, and then you're an individual node, and then you rejoin with the collective consciousness
Hmm.
again. And so it's like this life is, one could argue that you start out in the collective consciousness and you return to the collective consciousness. That can be ascribed as God. That can be ascribed as data or information. That can be the collective consciousness that we're all, like I said, like part nodes of, individual nodes of. But we enter this world as individuals, and this is kind of like our human individual experience going through life. And I think, that's very scary and um, unsettling,
Hmm.
but it's also like encouraging that when you do feel that aloneness, like again, everyone has experienced that to some level, and that aloneness is actually beautiful, because this is the one tiny little time. This is the one like very short period of your consciousness that is separate from everyone else's, and like how you use that and take advantage of that in your life, and how it can how your individual node can affect other individual nodes is, I think, like a really big part of what drives me in life.
For sure.
And um, like being individualistic, but then also making sure that you're affecting other individuals in a positive way
Hmm.
as much as you can. And sometimes that involves setting up boundaries and being confident enough in yourself to check someone, and maybe they learn from that, or I need to be checked, and maybe I learn from that, and then everybody can kind of get better. But it actually comes back to the curious mindset is like, can you exist in a way where your individualism is not over exaggerated or overemphasized, so that you can be curious enough to dig into other individuals and maybe find something synergistic with that and get to a deeper understanding of our reality, by tapping into other nodes, under individual nodes, so that you're more prepared to reintegrate with collective consciousness once this time is done.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. And you know, we don't know exactly what that experience is like, and we can't. It's not ours to experience until we're allowed to experience that. Hopefully, it's a long time,
Hmm.
but along the way, yeah, having a good life, I guess, is whatever that is defined as
Yeah.
for you. Is, I mean, it's a very profound experience that you went through.
Hmm.
I wish you didn't go through it, but
Yeah,
also you seem to have grown from it in a way that
for sure.
is meaningful.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the people that person or you leave behind that is probably the most affected. But like he's, just have this whole spiel about you're an individual and things like that, but you're also like probably the most profound way that you are not individual is by disseminating your genes and then having those genes act out in the world as your own,
Sure.
like iterations of your individuality. That you found someone that you love, you love enough to, again, like very matter of fact, but like you love someone enough to then share your DNA and produce something unique, um, and that has the best and worst parts of both people in that thing,
Mhm.
and that's actually immortality.
Mhm.
Is
Right.
your progeny, the things that you pass on,
Sure.
whether it's through nature or nurture, but those things you're passing on, and like that's
Right.
this stream of immortality that persists.
Mhm.
And all
Until
of
the
us.
sun explodes.
So yeah. Well, and then hopefully we'll be
Then we'll be
we'll,
multi-planets.
we'll be out of solar system by then.
Right.
It starts with Mars, but then hopefully we'll find some kind of wormhole.
Absolutely.
And then we'll get to the wormhole and we'll reach out and we'll touch something, and then we'll figure out later in the movie that that was actually us that we were touching.
Oh, we were
And
touching
and
ourselves.
it was just us in the future in a tesseract.
Right.
Um,
Totally.
and really, it's what love is what binds us all together. It's love. Transcends both time and
I
space.
know. Oh,
And
through
Hathaway.
the bookshelf.
Yeah.
I know. That's great.